Visit abaeservices.com for fast medical transcription service. This podcast episode is brought to you by AB Music Creative.
This episode is brought to you by Dr. Lourdes Capulong.
19 years married. How long ago did you know that she had scleroderma?
2012. So 11 years. Yeah.
Okay. So when that happened, how did you feel personally? And what did you say in your head?
Oh, man.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids.
Okay.
One is 18, so about to start college, and one is 15, and she goes to the high school for the arts.
So they were kids. When you found out your wife
6 and
had
3
scleroderma.
Yeah. I mean,
Your conversation with yourself. That's what I want to know.
well, this is even crazier than can easily be explained as the doctor saying, "Yeah, scleroderma." It's not. I mean, she's been 6 and she was pregnant, and we almost lost our daughter 2 or 3 times.
So second pregnancy,
yeah. Something triggered, and she started coughing while she was pregnant, spotting at 3 months. They were about to terminate the pregnancy. At 6 months, started spotting again, and we were back in the hospital. And that was a hard one because we just dropped off our son at my mom's and be like, okay, we'll see you later. But she ended up being in the hospital for 4 days, and they were like bringing in the preemie doctors, and we were like, okay, just in case we might come do an early birth.
Yeah.
No, my daughter stayed in for a full 9 months.
Dang.
She wanted to stay in there for a little bit longer, but because she was pregnant, they couldn't do any tests. But my wife kept on coughing. They thought maybe it was just a hormonal thing for her, and she kept coughing and coughing. She went to what's the first one she did? An asthma specialist. Right.
And you were just taking it easy during this time.
Yeah, we're just like, okay, if the asthma specialist figures it out, and we'll figure it out. And then it didn't work. And they'll took her to maybe you should see an allergist. Maybe you're actually allergic to something in the home, blah blah blah. And you're like, okay, we'll give you more allergy medicine. So first asthma medication, and then allergy medication. I'm like,
while she was pregnant?
No, this is after. Yeah.
Okay.
So for 3.5 years, she was misdiagnosed by everything. And at one point I'm going, well, if you're taking every single allergy medication, you shouldn't be allergic to anything. You should be totally immune.
Yeah.
Right? You should be able to breathe because you have all that asthma medication in you. So
all the albuterol, all the...
Yeah, exactly. So when we had an appointment, I'm like, you think she can get a chest x-ray to look at her lungs? They never did that the whole time.
What?
Yeah, because they thought maybe it was just it's a reaction, right? And then they did chest x-ray.
So you suggested that?
I suggested that. Yeah, of everybody. Mind you, I did bio pre-med when I was in college. But they did a chest x-ray, and then they gave her a phone call and said that you might need to see a pulmonologist. Like, first clue if something's wrong. Then she goes sees a pulmonologist.
Were you there when they called her?
Yeah, I think I was there for the pulmonologist call.
Okay, so how did you feel when she got the call?
Actually, for me, it's more for relief. That means that we're moving forward towards a diagnosis. I'm the person that I want to see. We have to see the problem first before we can solve it.
Okay,
I'll get more into that later because there's a whole philosophy behind that. And then the pulmonologist sees her and says, "You need to see a rheumatologist." So after a pulmonologist, she gets a CT scan, right? And you need to see a rheumatologist. We're like, ooh, what's a rheumatologist? You Google it up. So we're thinking, autoimmune diseases. There's so many of them. And a lot of them are really, really bad, right? We've never heard of the word scleroderma, mind you. Because the first thing you say is like, sclero what, right? So she has to go see a rheumatologist. I had to teach that day. I was teaching music production at the High School for the Arts, right? And in my class at the time, we had artists like Fiona Gray, Phoebe Bridgers, all these big time now, right? And like, I'm trying to get a hold of her. I'm texting her. She's not answering. I'm trying to call her. She's not answering, right? And then she's like, "Oh, I'm having lunch with Marina. I'll call you later." I'm like, "Oh, God." I'm like, seriously? So for like an hour, I'm trying to teach, right? I'm just maybe it's nothing, right? Maybe something is easy. Then she finally calls while the kids are working, and then I'm like, so what is it? And scleroderma. I'm like, what? What's that? Oh, it's autoimmune, so I probably have to go through some medication and that kind of stuff. And I'm going, okay, worst thing you can do is Google scleroderma, because this thing kills. I mean, I'm talking about like in some cases you're gone within a couple of years.
But she was nonchalant when she was talking to you about it.
Yeah, she's like that. She is probably the strongest person I know.
Amen.
Because I've seen her at her weakest point, and she's still strong and smiles, right? But yeah, my face turned white, and I was just like the entire class was trying to figure out, Mr. Munda, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know yet. And on my way home, I drove up the mountain, up
Angeles
Crest,
yeah.
as far as I can. No signal or anything. I'm just like, and prayed. I'm like, what do I do? It's like, this is like, I don't know what this is. Right, this is confusing. Is my wife gonna die? All the thoughts in my brain, and then drove down, and like, all right, what's the next step? Oh, we have another appointment next week. So go to the next appointment.
The day-to-day, that's the hard.
Yeah.
You talking about it, it's like listening to the summary is already nerve-wracking. I'm imagining the day-to-day, the hour to hour, the minute to minute.
Yeah, and it was
plus your life has to go on in spite of
exactly.
this.
We still had to have my daughter's third birthday was happening. We got to get through that. We have to get through all these things, and then the next appointment was that you have 5 years.
That's what the doctor said.
But the doctor's like, we love this doctor because she can give you the worst news but smile. Okay, this is what we're gonna do, right? So we're gonna make you an appointment for chemotherapy, and that's what she had. We're like, wait, what? And so it was like we kind of kept it quiet because we were still trying to understand it, and so like the only way we could tell people was like an Instagram post of her with all the chemo bags and everything for like first chemo treatment, and then sent it, and it just like my inbox flooded. My phone call. Yeah, they're like, "What's happening?" Right? Because she always looks healthy, but we knew there was something wrong. But from then on, we became pretty much like advocates and to raise awareness for scleroderma, because not everybody knows about it. But even though there's 300,000 Americans that have it, so it's not rare. It's the same as MS. Right, and her condition, even though her condition is a lot, just different varying conditions of scleroderma. Even though hers is like the 30% of the 10% of the 30% of the worst cases.
Yeah.
Because of that and the awareness, we went to a walk. Got introduced to everybody within the scleroderma community. I got introduced to the top doctor of scleroderma. So he wanted to go see her. Doctor First, if you have scleroderma, see Doctor First.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Dr. Daniel First. But he wrote the book. He was one of the writers who wrote the book on scleroderma. And that's how much connected he is. And sort of like, guided her own rheumatologist who actually learned under Dr. First while they were at UCLA. About scleroderma, so they were communicating, and she has like the best medical team possible, which is a blessing right there. And like for me, it's the utong sa loob.
Utang na loob, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I got to help out, so I started volunteering, organizing events, right? So all the major walks and all that stuff. And then they're like, hey, you're doing so much work, you want to get paid for it. So they hired me to do events for us, and they're like, hey, you do more than the event, you do social media and all that stuff. And so we need you as a community.
So this became your advocacy. It became your mission.
Yeah. It became my mission, per se.
While your wife was going through treatment.
Yeah, because I was being able to figure out what that best treatment is as well too. For my brain, it's like I need to know as much as possible and to be able to translate it to her. Now, mind you, there's like, she's been ER'd several times. She's been hospitalized to like point of like almost losing her a few times as well too. So it's like, I need to be. I always need to fix. You know, like a
guy thing.
It's a guy thing. Yeah, you want to fix things, but you have to have the tools to do it. So I'm educating myself along with it. I'm like reading CT scans with the doctor and be like, what's that mean? You know. And the thing is, my college career is I was a music major. Then I switched to bio pre-med because I had really bad handwriting, and then I went into film and television. Right, but during the bio and pre-med, I learned a lot. So doctors, it was hard for doctors to talk to me in layman's terms. I kind of want to know exactly what enzyme, blah 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 blah.
Like don't downplay it.
Exactly, and because my wife does not want to hear it as well too, because I'll tell her what's going on, right? I'll tell her, okay, why we're doing 8 hours of chemo every month for 2 years. You know, that was the situation. But you know, that also, you know, makes me realize how short and valuable life is. That if you're stuck doing something that you don't like or is mentally draining and emotionally suffocating, you know, you just pull yourself out of that.
Because you can. You're not a tree.
No, you're not a tree, and you got to grow, and you got, you know, find the people around you. So it's been a trip, especially since the pandemic, and I think it was actually a great opportunity.
So the pandemic was a challenge between both of you, right?
Yeah, the challenge because she was
autoimmune.
Yeah, we actually had to put a big warning label outside saying that, you know, immunocompromised individual, please do not come in. Yeah, that was a big deal for us. And she has caught COVID, but the good thing was it was after
the alpha. So after the vaccine.
Oh, yeah, man. And I think that's what allowed her to survive. But even though if she does get any kind of COVID, or if she does get any kind of virus, it'll take her weeks instead of days. You know, us will be like, oh, cold for 24 hours. Now for her it'll be like 5 weeks.
So what's your mindset now, knowing you have this, knowing time is valuable between both of you, and you guys as a family, among all of you? I mean,
I just do it. I mean, we are all given opportunities, and if you don't seek out those opportunities, you're just going to stay in the same place.